today it's a global concern why there is climate change. That is, we are seeing a trend of increase in tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, tsunamis, hailstorms. Why? What is happening to the environment? So I want to leave a few valuable information which you have stumbled to find out by God's grace. In 1994, Dr. Susan Joblin was working in UK Brunel University, fish physiology group of personnel. Madam, they wanted to find out with the postulate it has to be an industrial pollutant which is producing disappearance of fish. They were realizing and they were predicting also by 2000 odd, 2005, 90% of seafood will be disappearing, and by 2048 they predict 98% there will be no seafood. So they planned an international study of 4 major rivers in UK, Australia and US. What is the pollutant within quotes? And the postulate hypothesis, what they went was, it has to be some industrial waste which is usually let out in river waters, which can be producing this reason for disappearance of fish. And if we find that, we can correct it. That was the purpose of the study. And to their surprise, they found out it was no industrial waste. It was estrogen, the pollutant. So they could not reason out, but they thought probably estrogen disrupts the endocrine cycle of the fish. And in an astonishing way, 1998, Professor Paul Devroy of Germany, they wanted to find out why infertility is on the rise. So is there any industrial smoke that is acting as pollutant in the atmosphere which we inhale, which is leading probably to infertility? That was the postulate. So they were analyzing what is the pollutant within quotes in the air. And to their surprise also they found out estrogen-like particles are in the rise in the air. And this was published in what is the journal, and Dr. Susan's publication came in the Nature journal. And so now how estrogen? And in 2003, London Times brought out in the headlines, are we drowning in our estrogen? Oh, yes, they opened, they spelled it out. Okay, now what is estrogen? Why estrogen in the rise? They could not speculate, and they were saying, of course, only pesticides are on the increase. Why estrogen-like particles? But estrogen-like particles are in the rise in the air. For this, we should know estrogen is a hormone, circulates in the blood, bathes each cell, nurtures each cell, protects each cell from going for malignancies, and helps in tissue formation. Robust health of the cells and the tissues depend on the estrogen, which is the governing hormone for cell cycle and metabolism. Once it is metabolized, it disappears. So what I want to communicate is, unless blood is spilt, estrogen cannot come to the environment. So with that, again, we must know the values of normal values of estrogen, the lab normal. It is 100 to 300 picogram in teenage. The mid-cycle peak, menstrual cycle peak, middle 14 days only, it is 300. The rest of the cycle, it is only 100 picogram. Picogram, all of us know, trillionth. 10 or 11 zeros before 1, such a small amount, and that's a hormone. And if this drops to 15 picogram when we cross 37 years, and that's why the degenerative diseases start on by 40. We start graying hair, cataract comes on, diabetes can come, we start putting on weight, and we can get osteoarthrosis, and we can go for a little diabetes, that is degenerating Isles of Langerhans, degenerative disease of the blood vessels, we can go for a little hypertension and so on. And that is a life-giving hormone. And this dips to 5 picogram in your 80 years. This is God ordained, and it is under the control of hypothalamus pituitary axis. Yes, wonderful. And this estrogen has to be 4,200 picograms synthesized by the baby's placenta from the 3rd month. From the mother's cholesterol, that is fatty acids consumed in the diet, the baby's placenta synthesized cholesterol converts to 4,200 picogram. That's why pregnancy is a wonderful Zoom status which will strengthen the bones of parents, and they will not sustain heart attack. They will not go for neoplasms, because this estrogen secreted by the placenta sustains the baby, makes the one cell embryo to go through a process of differentiation, control multiplication, 3 kg baby, 3-4 kilo placenta, and protects the mother and passed on to the father, mediated by endorphins, protects both parents by giving them an increase in longevity of life. For example, kidney enlarges during pregnancy. 1 lakh worth rupee interferon injection cannot expel a hepatitis B virus, but the pregnancy will expel due to the even robust health in the cells produced or given by the 4,200 picogram of estrogen. So during pregnancy, it has to be 4,200 picogram, otherwise the baby will go for spontaneous demise or spontaneous abortion, what we call plasma-switchover insufficiency. Has to be mandatory, never during lifetime. This is offered. Male shall increase the lifetime of parents by 10 years XY, and girls shall increase the lifetime of parents by 20 years by the goodness of the estrogen that is secreted by the placenta. So let me say, if a person like me who's crossed 37 years is murdered, by natural death blood will not be spilled. If by me being murdered, my blood is spilled, my age, I've crossed 37, I told you, 15 picogram of estrogen, probably 150 ml of blood, because God's mechanism operates in me. I will not exsanguinate to death, though all of us have 5 liters. By 150 ml seeping out, I will clot. So 150 ml of blood into 15 picogram of estrogen is the contaminant or the pollution to the environment by a person like my age being murdered. If a teenage person meets with an accident, blood is spilled, and they will be having 300 picogram at the mid-cycle peak. Take the maximum 300 picogram into 150 ml of blood is the contamination of pollution of estrogen to the environment. But if a pregnancy is aborted, it is 4,200 picogram. And for this we have to know another figure. It is 37.5 million reported surgical abortions per year around the globe. 863 million reported surgical abortions till 2010 from 1922. And the website you can see that. And 498 abortions reported surgical ones per minute in the globe. Going down the drain, not by terrorist attack, not by nuclear threats, but by own parents telling no to their own darling babes. Yes. So let me say 498 abortions per minute into 60 minutes, into 24 hours, into 365 days, and 80 years in the West and 40 years in Asian countries like India, into 4,200 picogram. It's only trillionth. This is a small amount because of huge rate of abortions. 4,200 picogram of estrogen into minimum blood loss per abortion, probably 350 ml. We know it can go up to 2 liters. The patient can die of shock. Let's take the minimum. 350 ml of blood equates with estrogen contamination. Or in other words, it is aborted blood pollution. Same way, 19854,798 people of reproductive age group women are existing. If a mother is blessed with 10 children for her husband, which is the royal blessing which she receives after holy matrimony to build her family, she will not menstruate for minimum 20 years. The normal menstrual span is only 25 years approximately. Yes, but now by having small family norms, one child policy, we have achieved a lady to menstruate 200 months more minimum. So multiply 200 months into 350 picogram of 350 ml of blood per menstruation into 300 picogram of estrogen that comes out in the endometrial tissue that is being shed into 1984798 women who are meant to menstruate who are present in the reproductive age group. What does it amount to? It's contraceptive menstrual blood polluted air, aborted blood polluted air, which is equating to the estrogen rising in the waters and in the air. That polluted air, aborted blood pollution, and contraceptive menstrual blood pollution, air and water we are drinking and we are inhaling. Am I correct? Yes. When the aborted blood pollution and contraceptive menstrual blood pollution, we went one step ahead to trying to prove this concept. So we tried to measure hemoglobin by electrophoresis in the rivers and the oceans and the air. But we could not document it because the instrument sensitivity is for grams, whereas estrogen estimation done by the instrument in picogram. That's why we are able to document in the rivers and the waters. And by stumbling over, we found out alpha fetoprotein representing fetal tissue and beta HCG representing fetal placenta. We were able to document, in addition to estrogen representing mother's blood and or menstrual blood or the blood of aborted blood, estrogen, we could document in the oceans in 4 sites and the rivers in 6 or 7 sites by different labs, by 9 different labs from 6 different places, and in the air also confirming further aborted blood pollution and contraceptive menstrual blood pollution of the air and the waters of the river and the oceans. Now, this aborted blood and the contraceptive menstrual blood, which we documented by rising alpha fetoprotein and beta HCG and detected estrogen in the rivers and the oceans, because a huge number of abortions will deplete the oxygen, because oxygen, blood has high affinity for oxygen, and that is depleted. It is not replaced, it cannot be replaced by God's existing calculation in the nature by the leaves. Forestation is good, it will replace oxygen, but it cannot replace the oxygen which is depleted by the blood. So there is a progressive cumulative depletion of oxygen, ozone layer is depleted, and global warming, hot air currents are set up, and the result what we face is inevitable cyclones, floods, tornadoes, hurricanes and hailstorms. But this blood pollution and the innumerable crores and millions of dead fetuses that are perishing, that are getting putrefied, will produce toxic inflammable gases, explosive gases. When this inflammable gases, the lightning passes through, electricity sparks, they catch spontaneous fires, combustion in the skies we are seeing. And when the spontaneous fire falls on the forest, we get forest fire, sudden forest fire, and spreads. Animals which feed on blood, which are blood feeding animals, have left the virgin forest. They've reached the foothill of the township where the density of the population is also reduced. Plus, they taste the blood, they smell the blood which is draining along the riverbeds where the abortion and the contraceptive blood are getting mixed up. It's happening today, we see, and more is increasing. Coming to explain why elephants and bears are visiting the grounds more frequently. Generally, as we know, the altitudes have less oxygen content than the plains. But with today's aborted blood and contraceptive menstrual blood depleting the oxygen of the environment, which cannot be replaced by plants as per the creator or author of life's calculation, that depleting oxygen leads on to progressive cumulative hypoxia, which gets pronounced in altitudes. So, in a desperate attempt for want of oxygen, the elephants and the bears, they visit the grounds more frequently to get better oxygen, because their bodies are big made, the demand for oxygen probably is more, and when they reach the plains, the obnoxious odor of aborted blood and contraceptive menstrual blood which emanates from indoors attracts them or instigates them to reach the houses and the places of living of the human being. And the putrefaction is a good media, and the blood is a good media for emergence, virulence, growth, resistance, drug resistance of many new microbes, including H1N1, SARS, HIV, hepatitis B, C, D, E, which never existed in the globe before. When we inhale this blood polluted air, never smokers are going for COPD and carcinoma of the lung. We are seeing that on the rise. It is not passive smoking, it is the blood polluted air which you are inhaling, which is toxic to the airway, which was meant to inhale oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. Yes, we develop malignancies. Never smokers are more than 60%. We go for cancers. It's because of the blood pollution. And because when this blood pollution and the putrefaction producing convection currents, hailstorms, tornado, terrible disasters are on the increase, and the earth ruptures. That's when the tsunami occurred in Japan. Down the ages, it has had repeated earthquakes, but never the land went down, land of the rising sun. But now, as the aborted blood and the contraceptive menstrual blood pollution increase, and the putrefaction of the innumerable dead fetuses producing toxic, inflammable and explosive gases, the earth, the coastal areas, they gave way, they ruptured, they burst, and the sea came in. Why this chaos? Should we still keep silent? And still should we desire the human race to disappear? Our textbook of medicine, Harrison mentions in 2012 edition, less than 5 age group children are today 15%. That will reduce to less than 5% in another 15 years, in another 2 decades. That means we wiped out human race from the face of this earth. That's what we have achieved, the present generation with the era of contraception, abortion, thinking and naming it health for all. Baby boom will be the resolution that has to be adopted by the globe to put an end to this global threat. Only then the climate change and the natural disasters will recede. The same way, the blood polluted and the putrefying toxic gases mix with the water and they deplete the oxygen, and the toxic gases are there. How will fish not but be washed ashore dead? Lakhs and lakhs of fish were washed ashore dead in California. Birds have disappeared. The global warming by the depleted ozone and the hot air currents set up, DNA goes for irreparable repair. They've disappeared. Grapes are not bearing forth fruit. All the vegetations have failed. Still should we continue? Are we not human beings with a heart to protect the human race, to safeguard the lives of our children? Should not the concept global contraception abortion be burnt up, buried, so that life of human race will not be at stake? It's very difficult, and that is the reason for hard-hit recession today. Baby boom should be the resolution of the global health sectors. We should be renamed as life sectors, geared by pro-life activists who should be able to implement, chalk out projects to achieve halt of abortion. Countries like India should go for reversal of contraception, because we made everybody to go for permanent sterilization. That leads on to 275% increase in diseases in young parents. They embrace early demise because unknowingly, wantonly, the germ cells to the score of 20 million per day are getting fragmented, smashed to fragments. So it is associated with the smashed reduction of life-giving hormone, androgen, estrogen, on which the cell life and the cycle metabolism is dependent upon. See, we've gone for the whole host of metabolic syndrome and increased in degenerative, neoplastic, autoimmune and infectious diseases because of the withered tree host with high risk to develop with the lowered immunity in the cells. And also this fragmented chromatids are recognized as foreign, and we develop autoimmunity to the loci of chromosome, which are inherited in every cell, involving multi-system destruction by our own immune mechanism. So that is the reason 275% increased in demise of young parents. It's a sad information, but it's true. Our forefathers who did not know the era of contraception, did not know contraception on the body, how long did they live? What was the percentage of diabetes? Very unheard of. It was about a few million, 39 million or so in 1989. It has reached up to around 130 million in 2005. It's going to double to 235 million in 2030. Why? And India is called the capital of diabetes because the man on the foothill and the tribes have undergone permanent sterilization.
In this God-ordained universe, self-sustaining ecology and self-sustaining economy are existing based on human needs and human lives to support this ongoing mechanism. To understand this, human lives with their mandatory emissions, including carbon dioxide, which is food for plants, and by photosynthesis, the leaves replace molecule by molecule oxygen. So, any number of lives on this earth can protect and safeguard without oxygen being depleted. Will never be ozone layer depleted by any number of lives on earth. And it goes on. That is self-sustaining ecology. Self-sustaining economy means everything exists on this earth like technologies, buses, roads, cars, apartments to meet the comfort or luxury or everyday needs of a human being. And we have trunk roads, beautiful buses, cars, apartments, dresses, but we don't have customers, utilizers, passengers, students who can board the buses. So every business we are facing hard-hit recession. We invest on the people, we invest on the population to see returns, which is lacking now because by abortion, for example, 863 million children have gone down the drain. If only they were alive on this earth, this hard-hit recession will not be existing. Even by simple self-employment, we can see returns of money, returns of investment, and the economy will be flourishing. It's contraception, abortion that is responsible for the climate change, producing flash floods, hurricanes, tornadoes, disappearance of fish and islands, and not emissions.
This inevitable increase in trends of cyclones, floods, tornadoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, hailstorms will stop if we bring baby boom as resolution and we reverse contraception and put a grinding halt to abortion. Let's put a full stop to destruction of human race and end to contraception, abortion that will rejuvenate life on earth and end the global disasters from increasing, and economy also will thrive. Contraception. Let's reverse this together by bringing back baby boom as a resolution. Thank you.